Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, welcome to the channel and welcome to the first video of a series of videos on this bike that I've got on loan from English Electric Motorcycle Company. This is the Regent No.1 Classic SE. So RGNT is a Swedish company, you pronounce it Regent, and as you see this is a very classic looking bike, even down to the fact like it's got old looking suspension by the casting shapes, the yokes, these all look very nice and classic, nice metal catches and stuff. This is a really high quality leather seat. When I say high quality, I mean like saddle leather quality. That is one of the nicest motorcycle seats I've ever seen on a bike. Not necessarily the shape or anything, I'm just talking about the quality of leather and like the stitching and that sort of thing. You've got your battery box down here, you've got your speed controllers and all the gubbins of the bike in that box, and then you've got a hub motor on the rear. This is CBT legal. This puts out a maximum peak, well, it's not maximum peak, sorry, it's a sustained peak of 11 kilowatts. Don't think 125cc acceleration when it comes to these sorts of electrics. They are quick. Not necessarily top speed, but off the line, they are quick. On the other side, very much the same. Now, this is where things do change. It is keyless. Just turn it on. The angle of the levers is a little bit too low for me, and when I get home I'm going to tweak those up a little bit. So even though it's a very classic looking bike, it's got a very modern screen like this. You've got your battery level on this side, what riding mode you're in this side, and you know all the relevant piece of information you need, speed, time and all of that. Before we continue, there is a really important point I need to cover because I didn't realise this in this video until about 3/4 of the way in, and it wasn't until after the video that I noticed what it said right here next to the mode. You see, I was just looking at dynamic. If I go through the 3 modes on this bike, normal, dynamic and boost, and normally power modes don't make a huge amount of difference. I was riding it in dynamic. When I switched it into boost, I was like, wow, that feels like quite a lot more power. As I say, I didn't notice this. In normal mode, 9 kilowatts, that's like a low-powered 125. In dynamic mode, 13 kilowatts, that's a little bit more than you're allowed on a CBT, if it's petrol. I'll cover that in just a second very quickly. And then I put it into boost mode and was like, whoa, this is a different world. Well, of course it is. It put the bike to 21 kilowatts. That's a huge difference. Massive. Now, the reason you can ride this on a CBT, even though the CBT limit is 11 kilowatts, is because electric bikes are not measured the same way as petrol bikes. Petrol bikes are measured as a peak output, as in the most power it can ever put out, because that's at the top of its rev ranges. On an electric, it's peak sustained output. The sustained bit's really important. So it can go way beyond the 11 kilowatts that you're allowed on a CBT, as long as it only does it momentarily. Its sustained over time power is only 11 kilowatts. But because you get this peak, when you get on the throttle, it seems so much faster. And that's why these CBT legal electrics, which are powerful like this one, are more like a 250 or even a 400 at times. Really important point, I'm going to be riding this bike in this mode in the videos after this, and playing with modes as well. But it's really important to point out that it really is a huge difference. But you'll see my reaction when I switch it on. Oh, there's one other really important thing to point out about this screen. If you look at Regent's website, you'll see that they're promoting this bike with this like sat-nav overlay on this screen. This isn't available at the moment. Apparently it's coming with an update, but they are selling it on that feature and it isn't available on the bikes currently, and I don't know when it's going to arrive. It would be really cool to have that sat-nav on there, and as they're promoting it as such a strong point, it really needs to be on the bikes soon. Now, as I say, I have this bike on loan for about 10 days, and I'm going to make a series of videos on this. So if you want to know every single thing I thought about this bike, well then watch the review at the end. This is just the first ride. This is just kind of a few things and what it's like to ride. Another thing to mention is that this bike is a pre-production prototype, so it's basically the same as the one that you're going to buy, but the quality of coatings on this aren't quite as good. They've got more durable coatings on the production bikes. I want to go on and ride this bike because there's a few interesting things about this bike, and namely, that throttle. It does 2 things. It's a dual action throttle. Well, one of the things it does is this. Hold the brake, push forward twice, and you reverse. Whee! Do that again, back into first. Well, first, drive. Okay, so obviously, this is exceptionally quiet. There's another thing to say about this bike. No one thinks that this bike is a direct competitor to the 125cc market for 17-year-olds. That is not what this bike is about. This bike is going after a very narrow niche. That niche being people who are probably older, who like the classic look of bikes but don't want any of the, the maintenance and having to upkeep the bike and stuff. They want something simple they can plug in and use. Now, you might not think many of those people exist, but they've already sold a couple of these bikes very early on, and both of these people were in their 60s. This, for them, was perfect, and for them the price was okay. Now I have to go on to the price, of course, and as I've said, this is not a competitor, just see it as what it is. This model is about 12 grand, and the Scrambler version is just under 14. Now that is just slightly more expensive than the Zero FXE, if I remember rightly. I think that comes in under 12,000. Closer to 11, I think. So I'm not even looking at this from the perspective of, is it a good idea for a 17-year-old or something to get this? No, I am reviewing this bike as a thing that exists, that has a high price tag. There is no getting around that. But it is kind of unique, and it's got some cool things about it. So let me get on to that second cool thing, which I've never seen on an electric or anything, actually. So I'm on about just riding like normal, let off the throttle, twist it forwards, and it kicks the regen in. Now, that is actually a really smart idea, because it means you don't take your hand off the throttle, and if you're going through some twisty country roads, little windy things, you don't need to brake heavily for corners, you just need to scrub a little bit of speed here and there. Well, you can do that by using a little bit of regen, and that gives you some power back. Not, a huge amount. That's just not the way it works. But it is a way of knocking off a little bit of speed very smoothly. It's a cool concept. I like it. Do you notice anything odd about the side of this bike? Anything odd missing? Yeah, it's got no rear brake because you've got two levers. And I want to work out exactly what's going on here, because I noticed this. When you press one, the other one clicks out. So these got to be linked. There's one going to the front, then there's two going in, and one going to the back here. So it doesn't look like it's got a linked brake system, but it has to, because you can't have interplay. If you look, when I press one lever, the other one comes out. So I think that's both. Yeah, that's definitely both. Oh, is that just front? Okay, so this is your front brake. This is a combined brake. Now we know. Thank God for gravel. It's very handy. For the price, I really feel like it should have independent ABS. Also, these mirrors are very, very small and have very small amounts of adjustment. They're very classic in that regard. Let's go. Power. I know it may not seem that quick because there's no sound, so it's kind of a bit uneventful. But trust me, this is nippy. This is as nippy as a 125 pulling away, if not worse. It's more nippy. Another thing actually that I do not like is the indicator on this is a switch. A physical 3-position switch, which you have to switch back to the middle. I mean, I've already got used to it. I'm just being moany. I just don't like them. I just love push to cancel. It's a little bit sort of bumpy, quite firm suspension. But the road feel is very nice. And I say the handling is, it feels fun actually. And of course on electric it's all about keeping that momentum. So slow speed stuff, corner to corner, just trying to not lose any power. It's fun. Oh, we are on electric bikes here. If you would like to have a debate about electric bikes, I have videos for doing that on. Any aspect you choose, there is a video I've done on it which is going to in-depth with science, fact and reality talk about the issues. Yes, there are definitely some inherent problems with electric bikes, but they aren't all as bad as everyone would like to make out, and some of the ones that people love to really, lean on as a reason to not like electric bikes just aren't true. I'm trying to remember the range right now. I think it was at 60 or 70 miles, something like that, to a charge. 20% to 80% is about 4 hours with the charger on this from a main socket. This isn't about fast charging. This isn't about long distance. This is about, around town, charge it in your garage, This isn't about, can I do a cross-country trip and can I get a charging point here and blah blah. It's not what this is about. I have missed riding an electric. I will say this, you know, I've reviewed a lot of bikes and I review a lot of petrols and electrics. But just being lent the electrics and having one of these, I really enjoy them and I miss them when they're gone. There is something different, there is something special? Yeah, there is something special about this sort of very quiet riding, and I know, you know, that's something a lot of people don't like, they like, but it's silent. Got a video talking about that, it's called The Sound of Silence. I enjoy it. I can look out for myself. These mirrors do not want to stay where I position them. Tomorrow I'm going to make a video testing this on the dual carriageway to see what it's like at speed. I'm not going to do that today because I don't need to go that way, and tomorrow I'm going that way anyway because I've got another bike to review. Yes, I'm reviewing bikes on top of bikes. As I have this for 10 days, so I'm going to use this as my daily. This year I'm going hard into trying and review absolutely everything and anything I can that I think is interesting or relevant. And like in this example, I'm not suggesting that my audience is about to go and buy these, but maybe one will. I don't know. But it's interesting to know what exists and what's out there and how things are developing with electric bikes. It's another thing about these electrics, they're so easy to ride in like slow traffic. Because there's no clutch to balance, there's no engine to deal with. It's just easy. And around town, you know, in city and towns, that is a massive plus. Whee! It's pokey. It's, you know, it's pokey for a little bike, and that's what you want. If you have a bike like this and it was just like trudging along and just gradually getting up to speed, it's not going to be any fun. But this is fun because it's whee! You feel like someone's got hold of a rubber band and just giving you like a. I do miss the rear brake actually, because when you come to a stop, you normally like put your toe on it and then lean on it, and that's a way of holding the bike still while you're sat on it. Okay, so I want to slow down a little bit. Use the regen. It does progressively build up, and then you can get back on the throttle. Okay, I'll get used to that. I'll get that down. By the time I've had this bike, I will be smoothly transitioning between the two. I just have to remember it's an option. I mean, how effective is it? That's a question. Okay, so from 40 to 30. Okay, so it gets there. As I say, it builds up. It's good for those little scenarios where you just want to, you know, just touch a tiny bit of speed off as you enter a corner. Okay, so there's 30, and we're on the regen. On the regen, coming down, progressing. 0. Should I try it in a different mode? How do we do that? Can we do that on the fly, or do we need to be stop dynamic? Boost! Boost mode. What does boost mode do? Oh. Oh. Okay, yeah, there's alright! Okay, now. No, I was not expecting that at all. Normally, when you get boost mode, it doesn't really do much. That is noticeably more powerful. Kind of feel like I need to start again now because this feels like a different bike. I didn't realise I had. Okay, that's changed the dynamic of this bike quite significantly. Well, it changed it from dynamic to boost, but my God, boost is a big difference. In the next video, as I say, I'm going to test this out on motorways. I'll play with those modes a bit more. Watch out, Blackbird. And I'll let you know a lot more about this bike. As I say, I'm not making these videos because I think you're necessarily going to buy one of them. I'm just making them as an experience thing, you know. You may never get to ride one of these. No, I need to switch that back and see if is it my mind playing tricks on me? I'm impressed by the power of this hub motor, I will say, because generally when I think of hub motors, my brain goes, oh, hub motors, boring. No torque at all normally. They're getting better. They are getting better. I feel like this is a good starting point. We shouldn't make this video too long. We've got it for, as I say, 10 days. There's lots of things I can test on it. So let's call an end to this one here. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. If you want to see the other videos, subscribe. And if you want to help this channel, and I would really appreciate if you do, because as I say, this year I'm going to be reviewing as many bikes as I possibly can. That requires me to do a lot of backwards and forwards between places, and that uses a lot of fuel. So your support is really appreciated and really is the only thing that makes this possible. This is my full-time job, to be clear, and has been for many years. If you do that, you also get other benefits, like you get the videos early and you can join my Discord. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.